Reactions continue to trail the recent suspension of local government chairman in Edo State. Reports making rounds indicate that Edo State House of Assembly suspended all elected chairmen and vice chairmen across 18 local government councils, citing a petition submitted by Governor Monday Okpebolo. However, observers argue that this move is a violation of the Nigerian Constitution, as well as the recent Supreme Court ruling on local government autonomy. Even political parties condemned the suspension of the local government chairman and it vowed to challenge a suspension in court. And this brings us to discuss as the issue remains in the judiciary. And as it unfolds, this sets tune for our discussion on the local government autonomy. What are the matters arising? I'm Rikaria Clinton, and thanks for joining us on Nigeria Today. Now with me in the studio for the conversation is Mustafa Agbari. He's a legal practitioner. You're welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, before our other guest joins us via Zoom. Now, Mustafa, you had, of course, from the introduction, the issue of the suspension of the chairman in Edo State. Now, I'll just, without much ado, I will ask, I want to know, because people want to know. Now, is this in line with the Constitution? And is it, did it pass through the due process?
Well, thank you for the question, and I must say that is most unfortunate that we just got the judgment of the Supreme Court on local government autonomy barely 5 months ago, and we are faced with this situation playing out in Edo State. Honestly, it's not, and I must confirm it with capital no. It is not in tandem with the Constitution and the laws. The laws of this country have been interpreted by the Supreme Court in the case of AG Federation and AG Abia State and others, where the Supreme Court re-emphasized on the autonomy of local government structure as a third layer of government and governance in the country, saying that each tier of government has its own independence against other, that local government should not be an appendage of the state government, neither will it be an appendage to the federal government. So meaning that local government has its own structure, it has legislative structure, he can as well has his own, what do you call it, the chairman, that is the elective structure, the people who are doing the governance in the local government. So because of that, the state government now suspending the local government in a country, in this country of ours, that would be most unfortunate, especially going by what the Supreme Court said in that judgment that I just referred to.
Now, having said that, the suspended officials now, in your own words, or from you just said it's not in line with the Constitution. Now, what is their standing right now?
Well, yes, their standing is more or less like somebody who is injured, and such a person has a right to litigate, that is to institute a legal action. Okay. I cannot tell them that they must go to the court. They should know that they should not resort into what we call self-help. They must go to the court of law. And going to the court of law will be very easy for them. Go to the Supreme Court of Nigeria. They handed down the judgment, which has been breached by, I don't know, I don't want to quote, whether the council or the state government. So go to the Supreme Court and cite the persons for contempt of the court. Even the payment of the money of the local government is another thing we're talking. Payment of their entitlement from the federation accounts. The Supreme Court has said by the majority decision, 6-1, that he must be paid directly. into the local government accounts. That is section 162, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of the Constitution. They say that the SHALL, SHALL, that is there can be interpreted by the Supreme Court judicially to be made. And as such, they direct the government to pay directly to the local government. Because before, what the Constitution says is that they must pay that money into the state joint accounts that they have with the local government. So some governors who are holding that money, they were not releasing to the local government. Supreme Court says over 2 decades, that illegality has been played out and continues to play. And as such, this time around, the governors are directed by their interpretation, which they call purposive interpretation of the law, that they must pay that money directly into the local government account. We are not talking about that now. Now, the issue of existence of the local governments and the issue of democratic structure of local governments itself is also emphasized in that judgment. They say that section 7.1 of the Constitution says that local governments must be seen to exist by the state governments. I will go into what the Supreme Court says. Supreme Court said that states should stop treating local government areas as their colonies. Local government areas are constitutionally recognized and protected as the 3rd level of government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, just as the states are the 2nd layer. And section 7 is saying the system of local government by democratically elected local government councils is under this constitution guaranteed. And accordingly, the government of every state are subject to section 8 of this constitution, ensure their existence. So if the law says that they must ensure their existence, it means that you cannot stop that local government. Any act stopping that local government from existing, from existing will be seen in the eyes of the law to be a contempt, and you may be cited for contempt against the law of the court. So
the suspension now that was handed down to the local government chairman. Well, before I go ahead with this question, let me introduce our other guests, a public affairs analyst. We have Jide Ojo. Jide, you're welcome to the program.
It's my pleasure. Good evening.
Jide, of course, we're talking about the local government autonomy matters rising, and of course, against the backdrop of this suspension that was handed down to the 18 local government chairman and their vice in Edo State. Now, Jide, what signal does this send?
Very bad signal, very unfortunate development. The political class will not cease to amaze me about their culture of impunity. I didn't expect this of the new governor of Edo State, Senator Monday Okpebholo. I mean, whoever advised him to do what he did is simply misguiding him and pitching him against the very people that he says he wants to serve. How could you, petition the State House of Assembly to suspend elected representatives of the people for a whole 2 months because you accuse them of insubordination and gross misconduct? Who are you to be the judge of act of insubordination? If you have issues, the right place will have been to go to court, to have these people sued for whatever gross misconduct, because they are not even under the State House of Assembly that you could say, okay, you want to intervene. These are people who are directly elected by the people themselves. Yes, I understand that there were issues with the election of the local government chairmen and councillors last year in Edo State. But be that as it may, that's an issue that has been resolved by the Election Petition Tribunal. And their tenure will not end until 2026. So it is at that time you can now sway the people to vote for your party. But situations where you unilaterally now petitions the State Assembly, and the State Assembly became openly partisan, are now suspended when they know that they do not have the power to do it. One of the functions of State House of Assembly is to regulate, but not to, it is not inclusive of suspension of elected representatives. It's not part of their responsibility at all. And there have been many judicial decisions to corroborate this. So I really don't understand why the political class will continually act ultra-vires and unconstitutional. Even the Attorney General and Minister of Justice said this much yesterday when he was interviewed. Just like my colleague in the studio has said, that the July 11 decision of the Supreme Court has been very clear about how you deal with issues of local government. They are autonomous arm of government. That's why the Constitution recognizes 3 tiers of government in Nigeria. We have the federal, we have the state, and we have the local government. The real people who are vested with power to checkmate the activities of their chairman in case the chairman acted in breach of the constitutional provision are the councillors. Unfortunately, my sister, unfortunately, the councils are just so grossly incapacitated that they don't even meet. The council is, there should be, a replica of what we have at the federal and state level, at the local government level. The councillors are supposed to elect amongst themselves a speaker of each of the legislative assembly. Just the same way Speaker of State House of Assembly emerged, you have minority leader, you have majority leader, you have the chief whip. You are supposed to have in the council, in the local government councils. I know that for many years, Nigeria Television Authority beamed to the millions of viewers, the Village Headmaster, an epic, program for many decades. And I recall one character in that soap opera, which is Councillor Balogun. Councillor Balogun, a Stormy Petrel, was always fighting for the rights and privileges of the people of Oja community, which he represents. If a chairman has been found wanting, whether he misappropriated funds of the council and all of that, the appropriate body that is vested with power to discipline the chairman of the council is the councillors, because that is the legislative assembly. Unfortunately, many councils are never inaugurated. A chairman of a council is supposed to present annual budget to the councillors, which is the council at the local government level. They are supposed to have a speaker. You should know who is the speaker of this already local government, who is the majority leader, who is the minority leader, who is the chief whip. And just the same way as we have budgets being presented by the president and governors to their respective councils, that is the same way chairman of a local government is supposed to present annual budget to the councils. Unfortunately, this is not happening. But we will get there with time. It is not for that reason that you will now take the law into your hand as a State House of Assembly and be suspending duly elected representative of the people. They are affected ultra-vires. I read a short while ago that EFCC has even invited this chairman of this.
We'll come back to you, Jide. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, we'll take a short break now. The conversation will continue after the break. Don't go away.
The implementation of the ruling is also dependent on another aspect or another arm of government.
Nowhere in the world will allow under digital economy for banks not to be dispensing domestic currency in that economy.
What will make this one different? We want to know what they do as occupation. All of these are attributes that our questions have been designed to investigate.
In a few days to come, you see that we are all around their own crannies and everywhere in Nigeria, telling people to cooperate.
Welcome to Nigeria Today. Welcome back. This is still Nigeria Today. We're looking at the local government autonomy matters arising against the backdrop of the recent suspension of 18 local government chairmen in Edo State. And I have here with me a gentleman in the studio and virtually another gentleman. Now, Mustafa, you know, some of the reasons that were cited by the governor in this petition was, you know, he accused the chairman and their vice of insubordination and misconduct on the ground that they did not submit their, you know, statement of finances to him. Now, that brings me to my next question. Can the governor demand for a local government chairman to submit a statement of account?
I will say,
does this have a legal basis?
I will say that he cannot. He cannot. Just like the president cannot ask the governor of a state to bring the statement of accounts of the state. We've said it. It's a structure we are maintaining in this country, and it's by the Constitution. Constitution says let us have 3 tiers of government. We have the federal, we have the states, and we have the local. So when we have these 3 types of governments, none of them is an appendage, I will repeat again, of the other. So the reason of the governor saying that the local council chairmen have been doing an insubordination by not presenting the account of their council to him cannot be any genuine reason under whatever guise. He cannot do that. My brother, Mr. Jide, virtually has said it. If the local council does anything that is contrary, I'm talking of the chairman, that is contrary to the account, if he misappropriates the account of the council, it is for the council members, all of them, to sit down and take the proceedings against him, either to remove him. They can remove their own chairman and appoint another chairman. But for the governor to now say, okay, the chairman has not given me the account of the council, and because of that, I'm suspending that chairman, that is very, very offensive against the spirit of the Constitution. Mm-hmm. And I will repeat, it's offensive, it's illegal, it's all traverse the powers of the governor. It goes beyond his power.
Thank you very much. Now, back to you, Jide. One would wonder, is it that I don't want to say the governor, the members of the assembly do not know these laws, you know, before, you know, certain decisions we are taking, because from what Mustafa has rightly said, he said this is not legal. So what kind of impression is it sending across, you know, the political sphere of this country?
Eukarya, the truth as I know it to be is that the APC national chairman should wade in. I won't say the president should wade in, because EU must come to equity, must come with clean hands. When the election to local government was held last year, the APC, then in opposition, accused former Governor Obaseki of, you know, interference and executive meddlesomeness in the outcome of that election. And that's why I think indirectly that's what APC is trying to do now, to undo in a subterranean manner, in a subtle way, to kind of punish those 18 local government chairpersons, because to the APC, they were robbed of victory in that election. But as I said earlier on, election has come and gone. It's still the people of Edo that is governing those councils. They are not from Jigawa, they are not from Akwa Ibom. And if you are dissatisfied with the outcome of an election, it's for you to wait for the next 3 or 4 years, and then you can have your own people there. But to do this act of impunity, the implication, Eukarya, is that this could set a ripple effect across several other states. Because once APC is able to get away with this, you will be surprised that another state will come up and say for the same reason they are suspending the chairman of their councils for 6 months. And in those 6 months, who administers the councils? How do you pay for contractual agreements that have been made, the works that are being done? How do you effect payment? So, you know, this is not the democracy I fought for. This is not the democracy that we were looking forward to 64 years after independence. This culture of impunity has to stop. I said, and I'm quoting the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, just yesterday, he just aligned with our thoughts, myself and my learned friend in the studio, that it is unconstitutional, it is ultra-biased, it is null and void. And that is Attorney General of the ruling party, the APC, Attorney General of the government in power, saying that. So I think, you know, I won't say President Tinubu should wade in, but it's not even out of place if you could call the Monday Okpebholo to order and say, look, don't give our party a bad name, because this has a way. You know, what goes around comes around. I don't like situations where you will say, oh, when your party was there, did you not do similar things, or did you not do worse things? We should be copying the right things and not the wrong things. We should not be taking cues of wrongdoings of a party that was there before. Oh, this party ruined the country for 16 years. Oh, so we can also take the ruination to another level. That is not the way to consolidate on democratic dividends. And I think people of goodwill, other statesmen, should wade into Edo crisis. It's one crisis too many. Recall that at some point in the recent past, it was the State House of Assembly that was in cauldron, where a majority of the State House of Assembly could not be inaugurated for the whole session before the current dispensation that started again in 2023. And now it is the turn of local government. This is clearly a breach of constitution and all legal regimes you can cite. Because even without the Supreme Court decision, it's offensive to natural justice and equity and fairness. How could you say the council chairman should submit their financial report to you? For what reason? Are you the one funding them? They receive their funding directly from the Federation account. So you are not the one giving them funds. If at all you are even giving them funds, it's paltry, it's insignificant compared to the one they directly get from the federal government. And in any event, the Supreme Court.
Jide, thank you for your contribution there. Now, just in 30 minutes before we go, how does this incident impact, the perception of the local government or autonomy in Nigeria? Really?
We've said it, and we'll continue to reiterate that it impacts on the administration of the local government in Nigeria negatively. We should allow local government to breathe. They are not a child of anybody. They are as well as a grown-up man. Let them have their own independence. Let them rule. They are closer to the people. You know, local government, by virtue of the Constitution, is the government that is taking care of all these are even bakeries, food places, markets, a lot of things they are doing. So, and let me say this, I want to commend the government of the day over one thing. You know, immediately the man came into power, the first thing the Attorney General did was to file this case at the Supreme Court in order to allow local government to have their own independence financially and to have their autonomy. So I give them kudos to that.
Thank you very much. Now that brings us to the end of our discussion for today. I said our appreciation to our guest, Mr. Jide Ujo, a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for your time and your contribution.
Pleasure. Compliments of the youth.
Thank you. And also Mustafa Agbari, a legal practitioner. Thank you so much for your time and your contribution.
Thank you for having me, and compliment again.
And thank you for being part of this program. Remember, Nigeria Today airs every weekday at 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can also watch this episode and others on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. I'm Eucharia Clinton. Have a wonderful weekend.